you've had a great time at API Days. And for my session today, I will be talking about how to implement and roll out security scans for your projects using Projen. Let me start this session by introducing myself briefly. My name is Silviana. In my 9 to 6, I'm a software engineer at Handshakes, and I write infrastructure as code, I write CI/CD pipelines, and backend services. In my 6 to 9, I volunteer for meetup groups in Singapore, such as AWS User Group Meetup and AWS Security User Group Meetup. Other than that, I have a bunch of other hobbies as listed. First of all, I will walk you through the table of contents. So in the first section, I will introduce some abbreviations that will be relevant for the rest of the talk and also the demo. Then I will talk about Projen and Projen concepts. And finally, I will show you a live demo on how a Projen project might look like, how to publish it, and how to consume it. I'm putting all the lucky emojis there to pray that it works. So first of all, let's talk about SCA. So what is SCA? SCA stands for Software Composition Analysis. It's a security practice that involves analyzing software to detect known vulnerabilities in your open source projects or third-party libraries that you depend on. The next one is SAST, which is also a security practice. So SAST stands for Static Application Security Testing. It's a type of security test that involves analyzing source code to identify potential security vulnerabilities and weaknesses without executing the program. So during SAST or SAST, a tool will examine your code base for known patterns or signatures of vulnerabilities such as SQL injection, hard-coded credentials, cross-site scripting, etc. We can also visualize the DevOps lifecycle by splitting the process into CI and CD. CI/CD stands for continuous integration or continuous delivery or continuous delivery or continuous deployment. Now that we have those concepts in mind, let's talk about Projen. So my team at Handshakes have been exploring the CDK ecosystem for the past year or so. CDK is the Cloud Development Kit, and Projen is a CDK for project generation and configuration. It was originally created by the AWS CDK team, so we can use Projen to generate directory structure, CI/CD workflows, to manage our dependencies, to manage our linting configuration, etc. But why do we need Projen? First, let's see the problem that we have when we work with modern TypeScript projects. I took this from a presentation on CDK Day 2020, and it shows the pain of writing and maintaining modern TypeScript projects. We have so many things to configure: the dependencies, the compilers, the linters, your CI workflows, the security patches, and the list just goes on. Traditionally, we would address this by creating project templates, maybe using GitHub templates or Backstage templates, or even just cloning another repository. Or we can use one-off project scaffolding tools like Create React App. But who owns these configurations after the initial generation or after cloning the repository for the first time? It will be the team that is working on the project. And what happens when we need to update these configurations? Well, we will have to update hundreds of repositories one by one manually. And these extra tools and manual configurations will increase the cognitive load of the team and cause them to struggle to complete the tasks that they're working on because they're distracted by these configurations. And this is where Projen comes in. So Projen can help us manage our project configurations organization-wide and even update them, which is, I think, the coolest feature that Projen has. Whoops, forgot about that. Now that we know the problem that Projen solves, let's get started with Projen. So getting started with Projen is easy. You just need a node, you need npm and yarn installed on your machine. Then you can run npx Projen new TypeScript, and Projen will scaffold a TypeScript project for you with sensible defaults for ESLint, tsconfig, git ignore, etc. And it also generates a Projen RC file in the root of your repository. If you're familiar with AWS CDK or CDKTF, this Projen RC file looks like your CDK app where you can create your app and call synth. So we create your app and call synth, which will synthesize something for you. In this case, Projen is synthesizing your project configuration files. So we can look at Projen projects as classes, and this means that we can inherit Projen's TypeScript project class and add our own configurations or files on top of it. And then we can also write our own unit tests for it. And another cool thing about Projen projects is that it has rich, strongly typed APIs that you can use with your IntelliSense to inspect the fields that are available for you. In the demo, I will show you how to extend this class and add a new component, which is the security scanning component. Before we move on, I just wanted to show you the list of Projen's built-in projects. So we can scaffold projects in different languages, such as TypeScript, Python, and Java at the moment. And this is enabled by JSII, which I will talk about briefly later. But for now, I will just mention that the TypeScript flavor of these projects are the most mature, with the most features and workflows. These built-in projects actually inherit from other built-in projects. And this is the class hierarchy for the TypeScript project. So we have the base project, which is inherited by the Node project, which is inherited by the TypeScript project. So we can keep on building on top of those built-in projects with our own projects. Sorry, I forgot about the animation. So let's talk about the concepts in Projen. So we have four main concepts, the components, tasks, dependencies, and projects. So components will represent a self-contained feature of your project. So components are like the building blocks that are composed together into projects. So for example, your ESLint configuration can be one component. Moving on, tasks are used to implement your development workflows. So you can define your build task or your compile task, etc., to interact with your project. Then the dependencies are the meta models to represent the project's dependencies. And our projects are project types are a combination of those three things. So the components, tasks, and dependencies make up a project type. Next is the demo. But before we move on to the actual demo, let's talk some more. Earlier we've talked about CI/CD and Projen, but so let's go through the CI/CD flow from a software engineer's lens. Let's call our software engineer Ash. So the usual stuff, Ash starts off by developing code locally, then pushes the commits, create a PR, and the CI will run, get a PR approval, merge to main, and the CD will run. And Ash should be running the security scans locally. So that's the first item. So he will need to run the Projen. He will need to run his security scan locally, and this can be achieved by a Projen task. If he doesn't run it locally, no worries, because we have our security scanning workflows on the CI and CD steps too. In this demo, or maybe like a showcase, I will create a Projen project. I have created the Projen project. I will just show you how it's going to look like. And it's going to generate GitHub workflows for SCA and SAST scan, and it's also going to create a task for Ash to run locally. Earlier, I've promised you that I will talk about JSII briefly. So JSII is JSII allows code in any language to naturally interact with JavaScript classes. It is the technology that enables AWS CDK to deliver polyglot libraries from a single code base. So you can write your library in TypeScript, and then you can use it in Golang, you can use it in Python, Java, .NET. And this is the diagram of what's going to happen. So I have created a JSII project that I have written in TypeScript. And this JSII project, in this JSII project, I have some projects. I have my TypeScript project, I have my Python project, which inherits from the built-in TypeScript and Python project, and then I will add the security components in those two projects, and then we will compile this JSII project using the JSII toolchain, and we're going to release it to npm, to PyPI, and then our TypeScript project can install this project from npm, and then we will be able to use these classes. These are the GitHub repository links. You can take a screenshot of it or maybe type it out to look at the demo. Okay, now I will stop presenting and I will present my screen instead. Let me see. Okay. Oh. Okay, so we have our JSII project. Let me just close things up so that it's easy to see. So this is our JSII project. You don't have to care about the rest for now. So as mentioned earlier, we initialize our project and then we run a project synth to synthesize the configurations that we have. So these files that are gray are the Projen files. Are files that are generated by Projen, and it typically has this marker on top of it. And we are not able to update this file because it's anti-tamper. Okay, sorry, let me zoom in a little bit so that it's easier to see. I hope this is easier to see. Okay, so I'm not able to update this file. Yes, so let's look at where our JSII project comes from. It actually comes from this SRC folder. So in my SRC folder, I have projects and I have components. So for the projects, I have JSII project, Python project, TypeScript project, and Java project. And these are very simple projects. So I only extended the base, the built-in Java project for this one, and then I added the security scanning component. I'm using Snyk because it's something that I'm used to. I'm not selling anything. You can use any security scanning tool that you want. You can use SonarQube, you can use CodeQL, etc. So let's look at the rest as well. Same thing. And maybe just a few extra things that I've added for each project because they have slightly different configuration, and I was also experimenting with some things. Yeah, okay. Moving on, let's look at our Snyk component. So Snyk component has a constructor, and I run super here, set the defaults, and I've initialized like an env-rc component. We can skip this for now, it's not that important. Then I added a task, an SCA task, so that Ash can run this Projen task locally. And how is it reflected? So we can look at our .projen folder, and in the task.json, we have FCA. And how do we run this, right? So we can do this by simply running npx projen SCA, and this is also the case for any task that you add into your Projen project. Okay, so it has tested my code locally, and then it shows that there is no vulnerabilities. Okay, so that's for the local task. That's for task number 1 that we saw from here. Then the next one are the GitHub action workflows. I will not dive too deep into it because I think I over-engineered it a little bit, so it might be hard to explain it in detail. But I have this security scan workflow component. If we look up here, it's imported from this security scan workflow. I should name my components better. Yes. And this workflow will be created if we enable SCA or SAST. And then I will not go too much into the details, but it basically generates these 3 files. The rest are generated by Projen. So by Projen's base class. Okay, so this is a pretty simple workflow. I just set up Node, I cache it. Okay, I install some libraries, I cache them, and then I authenticate with Snyk and run Snyk test. Same thing on the SEA scan here. Okay. So when okay, let me just undo these changes. So the night before my presentation at API Days, I actually found an error, a bug that I have introduced into this YAML, this CI workflow. So if you can see here, we are running our SCA scan, but we are not. But this continue on error is set to true, which means that we are not going to fail um, the run if a vulnerability is detected, and we are going to fix that. So how are we going to fix that? I fixed that during the talk itself. But I'm just going to look for continuous error in the code, and then in the steps, oh, I see it here. So this continuous error here was hard-coded to true, and that is not what we want. So we want it to be an input so that as a user, we can set it to be true or false. And yeah, that's exactly what we're going to do. So I just have to set this to continue on error, and then if it's not set, then I will set it to false. Okay, so that's basically it. And during the live demo, I have actually shown, okay. Okay, sorry. On the live demo, I have actually shown the process of changing this code and then merging it and finally pulling it from another project. So this is the PR. It has been merged to main, and these are the changes. So I've set this continue on error to default to false, and then I've run npx Projen, and then Projen will synthesize this sneak SCA YAML to set the continuous error to false. Sorry, I don't know why it's not pulling. Oh. Okay, let's not meddle on that for now. Yes, so after this has been merged, we can check the run to look at the release actions. And yeah, during the live demo, we saw that it was published to npm. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier that the project name is at vianho/APIdays24 for PJ. I am horrible at naming, so yeah, let's just go with that. So after this pull request has been merged, version 0.0.15 have been released, so we can install this. Okay, we can update this. Okay, actually, I will show you something else. So we have our tofu soup project, which is the TypeScript project, and we have the noodles project, which is the Python project. And in my noodles project, I will update my dependency for API days 24 PJ into the latest version. So here we have version 0.0.14. I'm going to change it to 0.0.15. And then I run npx Projen, and then let's see what happens. It's supposed to install the latest package, and then it's supposed to, well, generate the latest workflow. So yes, we can see this div that we have installed the latest package, and then in the SCA workflow, the continuous error was set to false. So that is exactly what we want. And this is also the case for tofu soup, but because the TypeScript project is more, how do you say this? It's more advanced. It has more features built in from Projen. It is able to, okay, so basically it has a workflow to upgrade the dependencies based on a cron job. I can show you this workflow. Okay, so we have a cron job to upgrade the dependencies and then create a PR. And this is a result of that cron job. And even if we don't explicitly upgrade this package, well, Projen will do it for us. So we can see here that it has detected a change to this API Days 24 PJ project and updated it to version 0.0.15, and then it upgrades the Sneak SCA scan as well. And that is exactly what we wanted as well. So for the TypeScript project, we can just merge this pull request, and then this change will be propagated to main. Well, for Python, we don't have, for the Python project, we don't have that workflow directly from Projen, but you can add your own, or yeah, you can update the package as I have shown earlier by using this one line of code. Okay, so that is all for my presentation today. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I don't know why I always run into problems when I do live demos, but thank you. This is my LinkedIn, this is my email. That's the link to Handshakes, AWS User Group Meetup, and AWS Security User Group Meetup. Thank you for today, and I hope you've learned something, and I hope it wasn't too confusing.